Hi everyone and welcome to my kitchen. Enough of the meal prep talk. Today we're actually doing it. We are going to make 10 Mediterranean inspired meals with early summer ingredients. So on our menu we are having Mediterranean tofu with yogurt sauce, tabbouleh, frittata, quinoa, pasta, roasted zucchini with feta, Greek salad, and of course we're having a dessert, which is strawberries and cream. I know it's quick and simple, but it is the best. You can see the key ingredients in front of me, and I made sure that certain ingredients repeat across the recipes, so it's easier, quicker, and also it allows to avoid food waste. So we are having lemons. I bought them organic because we're gonna use the zest. We also have garlic, we have parsley, feta, so you get the idea of these early summer refreshing flavors that we are going to have. This buffet style meal prep session is also vegetarian friendly. There's no meat, there's a little bit of canned tuna, which in this case I explain you can replace with canned chickpeas. The ingredients that you see cost me 39 euros 71 euro cents in France, which means that one meal costs a little under 4 euros, and I think it's really amazing. Of course, I didn't have to buy everything. There were certain kitchen staples that I already had at home, like olive oil and mustard, which could be your case as well. If you want to access my grocery list and more, there is a link below. It's absolutely free. You can follow it. You'll have access to the grocery list, to the recipe recap sheet, and extra tips on storage, meal pairings, etc. I'm planning to spend 2 hours on making 5 lunches and 5 dinners buffet style. And if I manage, just imagine how great it is to have 5 days worth of meals in 2 hours. Alright, without any further ado, let's begin our cooking. Let's see if I actually manage. Alright guys, let's start by prepping our ingredients, starting with lemon zest. I prepared 3 little ramekins because I'm batch prepping our lemons and garlic for 3 different recipes. I started with our tofu marinade and obtained around 2 teaspoons of lemon zest. For the next ramekin, which is for our tofu dressing, I'm also zesting some lemon, but we need a bit less, around 1 teaspoon. Be careful not to scrape the white skin underneath though, because it can add bitterness to our recipes. Now I'm going to juice our lemons. First we need around 2 tablespoons for our tofu marinade, then the same amount for the Greek salad dressing. This time I'll be using our dark blue ramekin to avoid confusion. This part can be a bit annoying, but prepping our basics all together saves a lot of time. And to avoid any confusion, you can pick 3 different ramekins or bowls you associate with recipes, or even attach little names on them. And the last ingredient we're prepping is our garlic. I use the same zester to grate it, so most of it joins the tofu marinade and then just a touch for our Greek salad dressing. So to finish with our tofu marinade, I'm adding olive oil, apple cider vinegar, but you can also use red wine vinegar, some maple syrup or honey for sweetness, a bit of mustard, and then some Provence herbs and oregano. Remember that you can access detailed recipes in my free guide below, and I also give you an easy version of the tofu recipe there if this one sounds like too much for you. Now let's prepare our tofu. I opened the packaging and removed excess liquid, but there is still some left, so I'm using paper towels to get most of it. I press gently and slowly but firmly on both sides of tofu to remove as much liquid as possible. Tofu is a great source of plant protein, but it's not the easiest to cook, I agree. There are 2 possible problems with tofu, the taste and the texture. For the texture, we remove excess liquid, just like you saw, and for the taste, we try to add a lot of flavor. Like really a lot. So I cut tofu in cubes and transferred it into an airtight Tupperware. Now we close it tightly to avoid leakages and shake it. Then we put it in the fridge to let it marinate. Let's continue with our frittata. We need to cut our onion. For this recipe, I usually use yellow onion, but since we need red one in our Greek salad, let's reduce food waste and use a part of it for our frittata. The best way to dice an onion is to first peel it, but leave the hairy tip attached. Then we need to cut it horizontally, then in stripes, and then vertically again using the claw method. This is definitely not the best onion cut in my life, but it's part of the experience. Then we transfer our onion in an oiled pan to saute it. Meanwhile, let's get our frozen green peas and frozen spinach. I reheated it for 1 minute 30 seconds in the microwave. Then we transfer it into our cooked onion and add some basil. It's time to reheat our oven. Next, I fill a pot of water halfway to then cook our pasta. While our pasta water takes time to boil, let's go back to our frittata. I started by breaking 6 eggs. As you can see, it's never perfect. Then I'm adding half a yogurt. I'm using plain one, but you can also use Greek yogurt if you prefer. Then let's not forget to season it with a bit of salt and pepper. Regarding salt, as an addition I agree, we do need to reduce salt consumption, but a pinch of salt in a dish makes a big difference in terms of flavor, and it's a part of a healthy diet in moderation. So let's assemble our frittata. First, I start with our vegetables, then we pour in the eggs and top everything off with some crumbled feta for extra flavor and nutrients. Our pasta water started to boil, so let's prep our pasta and quinoa and cook them. I start by rinsing thoroughly 1 cup of quinoa and adding 2 cups of water. Now we need to add a bit of salt into boiling pasta water and in our quinoa. Now I'm adding 1.5 cups of short pasta. By the way, don't forget to set timer to avoid overcooking pasta. It's best al dente. Here I'm rinsing the zucchini. Now let's remove the tips of zucchinis, cut them first in 2 and then in half moons around 1–1.5 centimeter thick. Zucchini is a great summer vegetable, but it can easily become a watery, tasteless mush, so I love this recipe that allows it to keep the texture and the real taste of zucchini. Alright guys, so right now we have 1 hour exactly on the timer and I'm quickly checking in to tell you what I've done so far. So the only thing that's fully cooked is our pasta. But you can notice that there are much fewer ingredients on our kitchen station because right now in the makings we have quinoa, it's almost cooked, frittata, the same, almost cooked. We have the tofu marinating in the fridge and I'm also cut zucchini. I just need to make the quick dressing for it, and as soon as the frittata is done, approximately 5 minutes, it will go to the oven. Alright, our quinoa looks cooked, so I've left it a bit and let it rest under cover for a bit. By the way, frittata is cooked as well, so I took it out of the oven. And since I'm going to reuse it for zucchinis, I don't turn it off. On the contrary, I added some heat because we'll need a high temperature. Okay, I'm making our zucchini dressing. I'm adding some olive oil, some garlic powder, and Provence herbs. And let's mix it all well. You might have noticed that I have a small oven, so all zucchinis didn't fit on one baking sheet. So I'm also using my griddle lined with parchment paper to cook the rest of zucchini because we need to let them breathe and cook through. Here we go. We're almost done. Let's make our yogurt lemon dressing. So I took a ramekin with mix of lemon zest and garlic. I'm adding the leftover half yogurt and just a touch of olive oil and mix it well. Now let's transfer it in a small airtight container so that it stays fresh and put it in the fridge. And the last dressing for today, our Greek salad lemony dressing. I start by taking our dark blue ramekin with some lemon juice, then I'm adding olive oil, a bit of mustard, and dried oregano. It tastes amazing in this dressing. Let's also season the dressing with a pinch of salt and pepper. This meal prep session might take you longer than 2 hours, and it's okay. The goal is not to overwhelm you, but help you succeed. You need to take a break, go ahead, and don't forget to ask for help if possible. Now we need to transfer it in a small jar with a lid or a small food container and shake it well. Yeah, I'm being very serious about picking some fresh parsley. By the way I keep it is optimal for your parsley and basil as well. Put it in a glass of water at room temperature. Just don't forget to change the water every couple of days. We're going to remove the stems and finally chop our parsley. I'll put it in the tabbouleh later. And then it's universal for our recipes. It goes great with frittata, quinoa, and you can add it to the Greek salad. But I'm using another herb for it. You'll see which one later. I'm going to check on our zucchini. Since I cooked it on 2 sheets, it didn't cook very evenly, so I'm exchanging them. Alright, let's prep our tabbouleh. It's not a classical recipe. It's actually inspired by another dietitian who hosted me during my hospital internship. She would cook it by simply leaving it in the fridge overnight because couscous needs liquid, not necessarily hot liquid, to work. So I start by cutting off around 1/3 of my cucumber and keeping the rest for the Greek salad. I picked a pretty big cucumber, around 400 grams. So cucumber and tomato are diced, and now let's prepare the base of our tabbouleh, couscous. I'm using semi-complet, well, half whole wheat I guess, and I'm using only 2/3 of a cup because it will expand and become pretty big. I'm also using 2/3 of a cup of tomato sauce, or you can also use tomato juice. We basically need tomato liquid. Then I'm adding some soy sauce, olive oil, and mixing it well to rehydrate it. I'm adding a can of tuna. Mine is in water, but you can get one in oil if you prefer. Now we're adding diced vegetables and some olives. Remember to keep a part of our olives for the Greek salad as well. Another stir and cover it with foil or a special cover. In about 2 hours, I'll add parsley, mix it well, and transfer it in a food container. This dish should be eaten in under 4 days. Our zucchini are out of the oven, so now let's transfer our marinated tofu onto the baking sheet. Try to remove big chunks of garlic if possible, and let's bake it. We need to lower the temperature back to 180 degrees. Now we just need to garnish our zucchini with some parsley and feta. Just look at this beauty. Mix everything very carefully not to tear the zucchini. I just love buffet style meal prep. I've been doing it for 4 years and keep using this method up to this day. My diet wouldn't have been that nourishing otherwise. And the last one, let's make our Greek salad. I'm making only 1 portion to show you. It's not something I cook normally in advance. Usually I just prep the dressing and then chop fresh vegetables, so it takes around 5 minutes to make a salad and it tastes so much better. So I took 1/3 of leftover cucumber and tomato and I'm chopping them. Then I'm crumbling 1/3 of remaining feta, yes, again. Got a minute of waiting. I use it to clean to avoid having a huge pile of dirty dishes at the end. Then I'm slicing a bit of red onion. Let's not forget to remove the peels. And let's pour in 1/3 of our delicious dressing. And I can see now that I forgot to add the olives. Oh well. But let's add a few leaves of fresh mint. It fits in perfectly in this recipe. You can also add some in tabbouleh. By the way, this is also an optimal way to keep mint. You rinse the leaves, dry them, and then keep them in an airtight container in the fridge. It can stay fresh like that up to 2 weeks. Alright guys, it's 2:02 on my timer and I just finished cooking. I think it's pretty reasonable to say that it did take 2 hours to cook 5 days worth of meals. So what do we have? The zucchini with feta and parsley, Mediterranean tofu. It's still hot because it just finished cooking. Then we have our pasta, whole wheat in my case, with just a little bit of olive oil so that it doesn't stick. We have our quinoa, then this beautiful frittata that I will move in a food container right after. Then we have our tabbouleh. For tofu, I made the yogurt dressing. And the last thing I made is Greek salad. Here you can see it. I made just 1 portion to show you. And this is something I can eat right afterwards. We have our beautiful dressing already whipped up. So basically, making that Greek salad will take us less than 5 minutes. I didn't make the vegetarian option. Basically, I didn't swap tuna for chickpeas, but I still have them. And I will add them in some recipes because they have IBS. I cannot eat too much of it. A few more words about storage. If you are freezing meals, you can definitely freeze quinoa. You could freeze pasta, even though fresh pasta tastes better, of course, but since it's not a pasta dish with a sauce, it will stay all right. And tofu, those are completely freezer friendly. The rest I would not recommend. Zucchini can become too watery, frittata might change the texture a little bit, and yeah, tabbouleh, it has to stay fresh, just like the Greek salad. So if you're gonna eat all this food in under 5 days, it can stay in the fridge. If you're gonna eat it for longer because you have already some meals planned, I would recommend freezing a part of it. So all these recipes are part of my meal prep course, an actual 4-week course where I teach you step by step how to make meal prep work for you. So you already learned the basics, you got the grocery list, you got the recipe recap sheet, but there are many more things to be taken into account. For example, the cooking plan. The fact that I finished everything in 2 hours is, I think, thanks to that cooking plan, because I was not chaotic in the kitchen. I knew exactly when and what I was doing in which order. That's why my goal is to give you little bits of information and guide you every step of the way so that you succeed and that you can fit meal prep in your routine. Another truly unique thing about meal prep course is that my husband also designed the meal planner tool that allows you in a few clicks create your own grocery list, recipe recap sheet, adjust the number of portions, of people, swap recipes if there's something that you don't like, and so on. Until the 1st of June you can get the early bird price, and then on the 16th of June we start the meal prep course in a group format. I'm truly excited about it. You will get access to the community, you will not be cooking alone, and you will get my feedback and my support. If you made these recipes, please comment below because I really want to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel. This was Vera, not French Day Edition. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!